We've done a video on Carson Steele. We've done a video on Kareem Hunt. It's Samaje Perine's time to get that deep dive. And what we do is when players trend, when things start to happen, we'll do a deep dive on as many players as possible. Go over the advanced analytics so you can see what's going on with that player so you can make the best decision for yourself. Today, right now, we're doing a deep dive on Samaje Perine to see whether or not you need him for fantasy football. Before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're doing deep dives on these players every day. The trending guys off the waiver wire, the guys rising the depth chart. We're going heavy on the waiver wire, and we're using these videos to help you set your lineup. Click that button. Stop missing out. But it's big right now for Samaje. Isiah Pacheco is going to be out for some time. We all know that. And this depth chart is getting very ambiguous, especially with the addition of Kareem Hunt right now, who's going to the practice squad. But Samaje Perine has proven to be productive in the past with Denver a little bit, but with the Bengals a little bit more. And that could prove valuable for fantasy football with the Chiefs, who can buoy production just about anybody on the field. And look at what he's been doing over the course of time throughout his career. Only 1,800 yards to his name, but he's also getting volume in the passing game, and he's also got some upside games in his career in the rushing total. Only like 12 games with over 50 rushing yards, but he also has 10 games with over 50 targets to his name. So he can be used in the passing game and has shown that with multiple different teams. He's also shown that a little bit with the Chiefs, and he can also grind it out between the tackles, and he's also okay at getting yards after contact. 2.92 yards after contact per attempt in 2023. With the Bengals, he was over 3 the whole time. Really depends on the situation with the offensive line, with his reads and everything else. It's not just him versus the backers or anything like that. So there's more to that number. Also forces an okay amount of missed tackles. Yards after the catch, though. 9 last year, 9 this year, 8.2 in 2022. That's pretty good for a big back that can thump. He can get you yards after the catch and in space. So that makes him extra valuable in the passing game, making him extra valuable in PPR. Not the fastest back, but he's good at all phases. He is very reliable, good at pass protection, good at seeing the holes up the gut in the line of scrimmage, good at catching a ball out in the flat, just can do a little bit of everything. Wasn't the most efficient running back at Denver, but also good enough, you can say, to get the job done. So if you're working with a guy like Patrick Mahomes here, and you're getting 6.7 yards per touch, second best among running backs, or 5.93 yards created, number one among running backs, some of these stats you can pinpoint, some of these are worse than others. This is something that can lead to fantasy production. You're looking at what he did at Bengals. He was okay there too. Not the greatest show on turf or anything, but he was respectable. He was okay with the Bengals. And then he had some moments where he scored over 30 fantasy points in a game. So he can be productive. He can do that. That's why Andy Reid recruited him over the phone, called him up personally. Isiah Pacheco was getting all the touches before he went down, and rightfully so, because he's Isiah Pacheco. He's a stud running back, and he should be getting all the touches out of the backfield. But the routes is what matters here, because Carson Steele doesn't run routes. He just hasn't ran a route yet this year. 6.5 routes per game by Perine, 20 routes a game by Isiah Pacheco, so most of those are going to go to Perine. Maybe a little bit to Kareem Hunt if he ever gets called up. But Perine's going to be running routes. Maybe they run a little less routes with the running back, but Perine's going to be running routes. Maybe Carson Steele gets the runs up the gut. Maybe he gets some work around the goal line. So both these running backs probably can be used in fantasy football. But Samaje Perine in PPR might be a scat back for you. A big old scat back. Don't forget about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He might be getting a video here in the next few weeks if these running backs aren't doing anything. Just don't forget about him, because he could come back here in the next few weeks. But you don't want him because you don't trust these running backs. You like Carson better. You want a little bit of that steal, but you need him because you see him catching balls out of the backfield. You see him using the passing game. You want him in PPR. You like him better than Steele. And how I rate him versus Steele is that he's a little bit safer due to his experience, due to his role in the passing game. What I like about Steele is there's a lot of touchdown upside with him, and there's a lot of upside due to the unknown. Whenever he gets the opportunity, whether it's in the college game, being an undrafted free agent, fighting his way up the depth chart, he just keeps passing these levels, looking good in preseason, looking good on the field, and maybe that continues. Maybe there's spurts where one running back's good and the other isn't for fantasy, and they just keep flipping and flopping. We're going to know pretty soon. I imagine Samaje Perine is going to get a bulk of the work in the passing game. That's going to make you want him in fantasy. Maybe some touchdowns as well. And Carson Strong's going to be used heavily in the run game. This is going to be a committee more than likely. They're more than likely going to be using both running backs. And they're probably going to be head scratchers until they figure it out. They probably don't know themselves how they want to divvy this up. There's a good chance they do not know how they want to divvy this up. They might want to keep these backs fresh, considering they had to pick up Kareem Hunt, and that's not an optimal choice for an NFL team to pick up Kareem Hunt. So they're probably going to try and keep these running backs fresh, and they're probably going to work them together. And they're not going to know how they're going to split up the touches, and we're not going to know how they're going to split up the touches, except we know Samaje is going to get work in the passing game, Carson Steele's going to get work up the gut in the run game, and they're probably going to mix it up, and it's probably going to be extra dicey for fantasy between the two going forward. So pick your favorite running back and just roll with it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.